Right now, recovery efforts continue for the Navy jet that crashed here into San Diego Bay last Wednesday.
The two crew members on board were able to eject safely before the jet hit the water. CBS 8's Shannon Handy joins us live from Shelter Island, where more pieces of the jet have been pulled out of the water today. Shannon.
Yeah, Carlo and Anna, that jet crash site is just behind me here at the end of Shelter Island. You can see that orange barrier in the water. That's being used to contain the debris, including oil. Now, since Wednesday's crash, that debris field has gotten smaller and a barge and crane have been brought in to recover the jet. It's a meticulous process that could take 2 weeks and has brought a lot of onlookers to the area.
I can't even imagine how meticulous it is. I mean, when it hits bottom, things are going to happen. There's things in there that they want to secure, I'm sure, for many different reasons. So I think taking their time is probably the best course of action.
We have video of some of the jet pieces being removed from the water today. You can see them being lifted in a basket, but it's not just the crane and barge being used. Divers are in the bay as well. Video from around 9:45 this morning shows divers in the water with a boat following close behind. This is outside of that orange barrier. You can see them remove some items and lift them onto the boat. We're told those may be the ejection seats. If you'll recall, the two pilots on board the EA-18G Growler ejected before it nosedived into the bay. They were quickly rescued by a passing fishing boat and transported to a local hospital in stable condition. Now, days later, the focus is on recovering that aircraft or what's left of it and then figuring out the cause of this crash. Now, because of those efforts, there have been restrictions out here on the bay. The Navy told us civilian vessels will not be permitted to transit in and out of the Shelter Island Basin through the southwestern portion of the channel. But this morning, we did see a lot of boaters and paddle boarders out there on the water. Boater told me they could simply go a different way at their own risk to get around those restrictions, which most boats can do unless it's a very large one, since water depth in some of the alternate routes remains a concern. But again, the debris field has gotten smaller, so it's been easier for boaters to maneuver. Meanwhile, I had a chance to speak with a lot of people who stopped to watch the recovery process. And when you see how close that plane came to shore, most are in awe. This crash wasn't much worse.
Accidents do happen, and I'm just so glad that no one was hurt.
If it had gone anywhere else, it could have been really catastrophic. I see the fuel on the hillside. I think of all the people in the hotels, and I'm just grateful to God that it went down where it did and that no one was injured.
And I mentioned that debris field, but of course, with debris in the water, that debris can shift. So the Navy is telling the public, if you happen to see any jet parts that may wash ashore, which is a possibility, don't pick it up, don't touch it. Instead, they want you just to know the location and email the Navy, and they will take care of it. And we do have that email up on our website. Just go to cbs8.com and click on the story. Carlo and Anna?
Yeah, they really need to figure out what happened here. Shannon, you mentioned the pilots, and we saw them there with their life jackets on that fishing boat. And the guys on the fishing boat told us the day that it happened, when they picked them up, that they were in good spirits. So has the Navy given you any update on how they're doing, what they're doing?
No, the Navy has actually said very little. They send updates, once or twice a day. We have not received an official update today, so they have not given us their names. But you did mention that fishing boat. We did interview the captain of that boat last week, and he said, surprisingly, given what these guys were up against, given what they had just experienced, they parachuted out of that jet and landed in the water, and their jet nosedived into the bay. So a traumatic experience, but the fishermen told us that they seem to be in good spirits. We do know they were being monitored at the hospital, and the last we heard they were stable, but they appeared to be fine, but their names have not been released. We do know they are from a squadron out of Washington State.
We look forward to hearing more about them. In the meantime, good to see the conditions are pretty perfect for crews to get out there and get some work done. Shannon Handy reporting live for us. Thanks, Shannon.